Marfoogle News live in 3, 2, 1. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We're going to talk about Putin and, again, Russia. We're also going to talk about, of course, the Kremlin and some of the decisions that they make, and Estonia, and, of course, Trump saying that he is willing to actually take out Iran's leader. We'll talk about what context that is in. Putin says that Russia is starting mass production of a ballistic missile that he wants to duel with U.S.-made defenses. Now, his claims that this missile is basically going to go head-to-head up against some of our best defenses. Russia is ramping up its production of the Orishnik hypersonic missiles. Vladimir Putin said that last week. The Orishnik missile, first used against Ukraine last year, could hit targets in Europe and in the U.S. In December, Putin suggested a duel between the Orishnik and the U.S.-made air defenses. Russia is scaling up its production of this intermediate-range hypersonic missile, which Russian President Vladimir Putin previously put forward as a possible dual contender against U.S. missile defense systems. So this thing can actually reach us. And this is something that, you have Putin making a lot of claims. You have a lot of countries making claims in general. But what I see is the bigger picture, that North Korea is putting out destroyers. China is mass producing naval forces and air forces. You have Russia already in a war footing. They are in full war production. You have other countries that are going to be a part of a world war that are also doing the same. At the same time, in the last week, we have talked about Europe essentially preparing for war. We even had the Church of England essentially say, one of the bishops actually said that he had been traveling to bases all over the country and all over the world, and he said that everyone is talking about the potential for war. So again, this is something that, this has been a long time coming. We're not going to be surprised by it. Now, before we get any deeper, just to remind you, you can get a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document over on our website. That way you have the source for everything that we are talking about here today. Remember, we are completely independent, so if you do want to go over there and support any of our affiliates, again, one of the best that we suggest is marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is the EMP shield. This will protect your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators, gas, and solar. Again, in the case of the Bug Out XP and the energy, again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. It will not only protect you against EMP devices or EMP pulse attacks, but it will also protect you against a Carrington level event from the sun. So make sure to go check it out. It is the same technology that is going to be all over the country, only it's going to be protecting government and military infrastructure. If you want to protect yourself and if you don't trust that they're going to respond better than Hurricane Katrina or, North Carolina, Hawaii, California, or many of the other examples that we had such a great response, then I'd highly recommend you get the protection yourself. marfooglenews.com/EMP, code MARF, save $50 off, and it helps us as well. We're independent. You're getting something out of it. You're not just donating. All right, let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So let's talk about Kremlin says Estonia's readiness to host nuclear-capable NATO jets threatens Russia.
Well, certainly the Kremlin's not happy about this. The Kremlin said on Friday that Estonia stated readiness to host those F-35s, which are capable of carrying nuclear weapons now, is now considered to be a direct threat to Moscow. Estonia Defense Minister Hanno Pekka told the Post-Times news outlet on Thursday that Estonia, which borders Russia, is a rotating base for NATO jets tasked with protecting the Baltic airspace, and was ready to host the nuclear-capable jets if necessary. So if some of them, regardless of their country of origin, have a dual-use capability to carry nuclear weapons, it doesn't affect our position on hosting F-35s in any way, he said. So again, Russia not going to be happy with that. Estonia is right beside them and right up against them, and they don't want nuclear capable jets up against their border.
Yeah, and you obviously all over Europe we have these jets, and we talked about this when, all of the big talk about Greenland was happening. Essentially, we want control of Greenland because right now, as it sits, we have a base there and we have detection and monitoring there for, intercontinental ballistic missiles and things like that. But we don't have interceptors because it is not under our control. In fact, even the places that are in Europe that have our nukes, they're not on the plane. They're not even strapped on. They're separate. They're kept in a certain way that's done by rules. So if they ever had to use them, there would be a whole process. They would have to actually go get them. They would have to equip them, and then they would have to use them. To have them ready to go, ready to fire at a moment's notice, that's something that, that's something we have to have as a territory, or we have to have control over, or it has to be a direct, owned or ran, country that we have control over. So again, this is something that really, really kind of piques my interest because honestly, look at what's happening right now. You can see all of the little signs and all of the little puzzle pieces fitting together. And then, of course, over the last week and a week and a half, everybody has their own theory about what's going on with Iran. I do believe some of the theories. I said it since day one when the late Shah's son ended up speaking. The way that he was put out, I immediately was reminded of the gentleman who took over Syria. The guy that was a revolutionary. He was on the most wanted list, had a $10 million bounty on his head. And nobody's thinking that this guy's connected with CIA. I mean, it was just crazy, right? The late Shah's, son, he was probably recruited by CIA. They're probably like, hey, what about your family being in power again? I do believe that they're going to do a regime change. And it's hard for people to get past that block that I think a lot of people really take everything out of this presidential administration as absolute truth. But remember, he's the president. He cannot tell the truth all the time. No president can. If there's top secret ops, they have to keep that stuff in the dark. They also have to run ops that, and in some cases, these are for our actual safety, and they have to keep them classified. They have to keep them to where nobody knows about them. So they are going to lie to us. There are also bad ops that the world has done for a very long time. I know people that have literally said, oh, well, that's history. Now we have this president. Well, the president isn't 1,000% in charge. There are many, many facets to the United States and to our power structure, and the president isn't the final say. We have a system set up because of that. So, for everybody to think that, we're not doing anything wrong just because he's in office, that's kind of crazy because there's things that were planned. In fact, the strike that they just did was planned during JB's administration. And I'm sure JB didn't handwrite it up. His consultants and his advisors and his military generals did. And now it just got put into play. We're going to talk about so much more on our next show, and we're going to give you a massive update because all of this is absolutely nuts. 100,000 plus troops are amassing. What is about to happen? Find out on the next show. If you want to join us for that show, just stay in the chat. If you're already here, you'll be ported over automatically. Again, if you want to see it and you are watching the replay, all you have to do is click here. We'll see you in just a minute over on Marfoogle TV with the full details.